heard about you, therefore I said, he is an eminent man, he's writing a book. And I don't know what he wants to ask. Please find out before. Because earlier also it happened, people met him, asked him some questions, but put words into his mouth. Then the court took objection. So he was really in a very bad shape in those days. And he was not coming out openly about anything. That is what I have to say.
Okay. With respect to a question asked about how did the Foreign Service treat the Babri Masjid demolition, as far as I can recall, the brief given to us was to really present this as an aberration. That this was not something which was really the kind of secularism that India adhered to right since its independence, and that this particular act would be dealt with within the laws of the country. And as far as the OIC is concerned, the reaction was exactly what has been all the time, that you do not have a lower standard to comment about whatever may be happening internally in India. So it was a measured response, and over a period of time, I think perhaps the matter was no longer so much on the radar screen as it has been in the past. So there has been a certain evolution in that. Now, of course, you have a different challenge to explain how, in fact, you just in a sense put aside this whole criminal offense of demolition of the masjid and went ahead and constructed a temple on that site itself. So today the challenge is rather different. I believe that right now the answer to that is that everything has been done according to the constitution. So it's just it. So I will take we have already gone past our time, but I will take 3 more questions and then we can.
Yeah.
Just a minute, please. Don't get so. Yes. I'm not.
My name is G.V. Bagari. I would like to know, under the present dispensation, would the Prime Minister be able to have this so many reforms passed, profusion of reforms without having to bulldoze them? Would the opposition have tolerated and accepted so many reforms that he's passing there? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, the lady, please. Yeah, just let her speak, then I will come.
My name is Nandita Vats, and my question is to Mr. Narendra. You said when the economic reforms came about, it was low-key publicity, low-key approach towards that. One has been hearing about the youth bulge. From youth bulge, the narrative changed to youth dividend. But in the last few days, I've been reading of the disaster. So would you have any comments on that?
Okay. Yes, please. The lady.
My name is Aarti Mehra. I work for a development bank, but here in personal capacity. So you mentioned, you shared an anecdote of how the news of an economic crisis or looming economic crisis was shared with the previous government, with VP Singh's government. What was the reaction? Was it just to bury their head in the sand and kick the can down?
Reaction from the BBC?
Yes, from the government itself. What was the reaction to this news of the looming economic crisis?
Okay. Yeah, just one more. Yeah.
Yeah. We all know Mr. Rajiv Gandhi died during the middle of an election, and he had given a manifesto for the Congress. And in that manifesto, I think it was clearly mentioned when the Congress comes to power, we will have economic reforms. So when you give the credit to P. Narasimha Rao, I think the credit should also be shared by Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. What do you say?
That's a comment, that's not a question.
I'm asking a question.
Yes, please. No, I'm sorry, there is no more time. Yeah. Narendra? Yeah.
The question that you asked about the youth, I didn't understand what you were
The youth dividend and the youth crisis now. I'm talking of the job market, the employment which was created
Are you
then.
talking about now or you're talking about?
No,
there in the-
comparative.
Well, the demographic dividend, we did not encash on it, which is an open story. There is no point in saying that which government did, which government did not. They were dealing with an economic crisis. At that point of time, they could not think of looking at the demographic dividend. In fact, there was a 9-nation summit during Narasimha's time. In that, he committed that as and when the economy improves, the government will commit 6% budget for education and health. Till today it did not happen. That is a separate story.
Yeah.
Then, I'm sorry, your question is about 1918. What is the reaction? Please read my book. I have given answer. I struggled, prepared a whole note. Ms. P. Upendra was the minister. I gave it to him. Nobody told me what was the problem, what was the solution. But still, I was supposed not to talk to anybody and prepare the publicity plan. I gave it. After 6 weeks, Mr. Madhu Kandavate presented a budget. There is no talk of the economy in that. Then an undersecretary, a section officer sent a note. Please refer to this. Return all the secret papers. That was the response. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, with regard to what you mentioned about Rajiv Gandhi and the manifesto, it is a fact that a number of reforms, in fact, were initiated, even during Mrs. Gandhi's time. So I don't think that it's a matter of, whether this particular reform had this origin. The difference here is that at a moment of great crisis, the kind of measures which were taken were unprecedented. So there may have been some gradual kind of intervention with regard to reforms, but here I think the difference is that within a very short period of time, some very fundamental reforms had to be undertaken, and the political risk in taking those reforms was very, very great. And I think it is to the credit of Narasimha Rao that even in some sense, even if it went against the grain of his own thinking, he knew that this was necessary and had to be done, and allowed the kind of political navigation that made it possible. It was very, very difficult. So that's the difference. You wanted to say something?
One line. You may recall that Mr. Narasimha Rao was the chairman of the drafting committee of that manifesto. That I did that this
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Narendra, for sharing these insights from your wonderful book. And thanks to each one of our panelists, Sanna, Ambassador Fabian, and all of you present here who have turned up in such large numbers to really hear about the absolutely fascinating book that has been written. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.